Welcome to Bet Free. This audiobook is not entertainment, it's education. It's about exposing the tricks casinos and gambling apps use to rewire your brain, control your choices, and keep you hooked. If you've ever wondered why it's so hard to stop, or why you keep going back even after losses, this will open your eyes. Remember, knowledge is power, and the more you understand their game, the stronger you become at walking away from it. Chapter 1. The hidden architecture of addiction. When you walk into a casino or when you open a gambling app, what's the first thing you notice? The flashing lights, the bright colors, the constant motion. It feels alive, exciting, and full of possibilities. But what you don't notice, at least not right away, is that every detail of that environment is designed to manipulate you. Casinos are not just rooms filled with games. Gambling apps are not just harmless entertainment on your phone. They are carefully engineered systems of control. Psychologists call it environmental conditioning. What this means is simple. Your brain reacts to its surroundings, and casinos, along with their online counterparts, are built like psychological traps. The layout, the lights, the sounds, even the absence of windows or clocks, all of it is meant to disorient you, to break down your natural sense of time and money, and to keep you in one single state of mind, playing. Take slot machines, for example. They are not designed to pay you fairly. They are designed to make you feel like you're almost winning. 2 jackpot symbols line up, and the third one just barely misses. It's no accident. That's called a near-miss effect. Studies show that your brain reacts to near misses almost the same way it reacts to real wins. Dopamine is released, excitement builds, and your brain whispers, "You're close. Don't stop now." Even though the truth is, you are no closer to winning than if the reels had stopped miles apart. Now let's move to gambling apps. On the surface, they look modern, sleek, and convenient. But behind the design are the same tricks. Bright notifications, instant results, flashy bonuses, and constant reminders to log in and play. They blur the line between gaming and gambling, making you think you're just having fun. But your brain doesn't see fun. Your brain sees reward, anticipation, and risk, the exact formula that fuels addiction. Think about this. Casinos never place ATMs at the entrance. They put them deep inside, past rows of machines and tables. Why? Because by the time you walk there, you're already surrounded by temptation. Online apps don't even make you walk. They connect straight to your credit card or digital wallet. The barrier between you and losing money is gone. One tap and your balance drops. The house doesn't want you to think. It wants you to act. This is the hidden architecture of gambling. Control the environment, manipulate your brain chemistry, and keep you hooked. And the cruelest part? The longer you stay inside the system, the more you forget that it's a system at all. You start believing it's you making the choices, when in reality, the choices are being shaped for you every step of the way. But here's the question we must ask ourselves. If casinos and apps are this powerful at controlling our surroundings and emotions, what exactly are they doing inside our brains to make quitting feel almost impossible? That's where we go next. In Chapter 2, we'll dive deep into how gambling hijacks your brain's reward system and why the same chemical that motivates you in life can also trap you in addiction. Chapter 2, hijacking the brain's reward system. Every decision you make, every risk you take, and every habit you form is powered by a simple chemical in your brain, dopamine. It's often called the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite true. Dopamine is not about pleasure. It's about anticipation. It's about motivation. It's what pushes you to chase goals, to strive for rewards, and to keep going even when the outcome isn't guaranteed. Now, here's the trap. Gambling doesn't just use dopamine, it hijacks it. In a healthy brain, dopamine is released when you achieve something meaningful. Finishing a project, exercising, solving a problem, or even enjoying good food. The reward comes. Dopamine reinforces the action, and your brain learns, "This was good. Do it again." But in gambling, the system is twisted. Instead of steady rewards, you get random, unpredictable outcomes. Sometimes you win. Sometimes you lose. Sometimes you almost win. That unpredictability creates the strongest dopamine surges of all. Psychologists call this a variable reward schedule. And it is the exact same principle that keeps people glued to slot machines, video games, and even social media apps. When the reward is unpredictable, Your brain releases more dopamine than if the reward were guaranteed. That's why a slot machine spin feels exciting, even when you've already lost dozens of times in a row. Your brain isn't hooked on a win. It's hooked on the chance of a win. This is why gambling feels so irresistible. Your brain is being trained over and over again to chase uncertainty. And every time you play, you're teaching your brain to value anticipation more than actual results. That's why many gamblers describe the thrill of the bet as being even more powerful than the win itself. The anticipation is the drug. But there's something even more dangerous happening here. When you gamble, dopamine isn't released in small, steady doses like in normal life. It comes in huge spikes. These spikes rewire the brain circuits, making everyday rewards like spending time with family, working toward goals, or even relaxing feel dull and empty in comparison. Slowly, life outside gambling starts to lose its color. The brain begins to crave only one thing: the high of a gamble. And the apps and casinos know this. That's why slot machines and betting apps are designed to deliver rapid results. Spin after spin, tap after tap, your brain is flooded with anticipation, win or lose. It's like pulling a lever directly on your brain's reward system. Now here's the cruel twist. After enough gambling, the brain starts producing less dopamine naturally. Everyday life feels flat, boring, and joyless. The only thing that seems to bring relief is gambling again. This is how addiction locks in place. Not because you're weak, not because you lack discipline, but because your brain chemistry has been rewired against you. And yet the illusion persists. Every gambler thinks, I'm still in control. I can stop whenever I want. But if your brain is being manipulated at a chemical level, can you really call that control? This brings us to an important question that we'll explore in the next chapter. If gambling rewires your brain's chemistry so powerfully, what happens when you actually try to quit? Why does stopping feel so painful? And why do so many people relapse even when they truly want to stop? Chapter 3. The pain of stopping. Why quitting feels so hard and gambling is so destructive? You might wonder, why don't people just stop? After all, if you know it's costing you money, time, and peace of mind, wouldn't the logical choice be to walk away? But here's the truth. Addiction has very little to do with logic. It has everything to do with the way your brain adapts when it's been hijacked. Remember how dopamine floods your brain during gambling? Over time, your brain gets used to those artificial highs. It stops producing normal levels of dopamine because it assumes the gambling will provide it. So when you suddenly quit, you don't just feel bored, you feel empty. It's like your brain has been drained of its natural fuel. This is what makes quitting so painful. You don't just miss the excitement of gambling. You feel restless, irritable, depressed, even physically uncomfortable. It's your brain begging for the dopamine it no longer knows how to create on its own. This state is what many call withdrawal. But here's the cruel trick. Your brain remembers that gambling can instantly fix that emptiness. That's why cravings feel so overwhelming. One thought, just one bet, can light up the memory of dopamine surges, and suddenly your entire body is screaming at you to give in. It doesn't matter that you've lost before. It doesn't matter that you promised yourself you quit. In that moment, the craving is louder than reason. That's also why many people relapse after a few days or weeks of stopping. They think the urge will disappear quickly, but in reality, recovery takes time because your brain has to rebuild itself. It has to relearn how to enjoy normal life, how to find pleasure in things that aren't designed to manipulate you. And that's not a quick process. It's like rewiring a system that's been tampered with for years. But here's the good news. The brain can heal. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and grow, works both ways. Just as gambling rewired your brain into addiction, recovery can rewire it back into balance. The first days may feel unbearable, the weeks may feel heavy, but slowly your brain begins to wake up again. Colors come back into life. Simple joys start to feel meaningful again. And the cravings, while they may never vanish completely, lose their power. Still, you may be wondering, why do so many gamblers underestimate how hard quitting will be? Why do they keep convincing themselves that next time will be different, that they'll have more control, that they can stop whenever they choose? That brings us to the next chapter. Because behind the cravings and withdrawals lies another psychological trap, one that keeps people chasing the very thing that's destroying them. Why do gamblers believe in luck, rituals, and systems, even when the math proves they can't win? Why does the illusion of control feel so real? Chapter 4. The Illusion of Control. Why gamblers believe they can beat the odds. Have you ever noticed how gamblers talk? They don't just say, "I lost money." They say, "I was so close." They don't just say, "I'll try again." They say, "I've got a feeling this time." That language reveals something deeper. Gamblers believe they have influence over an outcome that is entirely random. Psychologists call this the illusion of control, the false belief that you can shape or predict chance events. Casinos and betting apps rely on this illusion because it's one of the most powerful hooks in gambling. Imagine a slot machine. You press the button and 3 reels start spinning. Rationally, you know the outcome is predetermined by a random number generator. But when you hit that button, it feels like your timing, your touch, even your level of focus somehow matters. That's the illusion at work. Or think about sports betting. Fans convince themselves that their knowledge of the game gives them an edge. They've studied stats, memorized player histories, and analyzed patterns. But the truth is, no matter how much you know, the future remains uncertain. Injuries happen, referees make calls, and outcomes shift in seconds. Yet the illusion of control whispers, "You're smarter than the average bettor. You've cracked the code." This illusion keeps gamblers hooked because it makes losses feel temporary and wins feel like proof of skill. If you lose, it's easy to believe you just made a mistake, bet the wrong time, chose the wrong numbers, or ignored your gut feeling. If you win, it reinforces the idea that you were right all along, that your method works. Either way, the cycle continues. Casinos fuel this belief through something called near misses. Picture this. 2 jackpot symbols line up perfectly, and the third stops just 1 space away. Your brain reacts as though you almost won. In reality, you were never closer to winning than the reels had landed miles apart. But that almost activates the same reward pathways as a real win. Suddenly you think, "I'm due. Next time it's mine." That's not luck. That's psychology, carefully engineered. The illusion of control is so dangerous because it preys on our human need for certainty. We hate the idea that life is random. We crave patterns, order, and meaning. So when gambling offers us even the smallest illusion of influence, we cling to it. It makes us feel powerful, even when we're powerless. But here's the truth. No system, no ritual, no strategy can beat randomness. Luck is not a skill. Patterns in the past don't dictate the future. The house edge always tilts the game in favor of the casino, no matter how in control you feel. The only real control you have in gambling is whether you choose to play or walk away. And yet, millions of people stay stuck in this illusion. They keep playing, convinced they can outsmart the system, when in reality, the system is designed to outsmart them. Now, you may be wondering, if the illusion of control is so strong, what else keeps people hooked even after they've lost over and over again? Why does the brain keep chasing losses when logic screams to stop? That takes us to the next chapter, where we'll uncover the cruelest trap of all, the chase. Why do gamblers keep doubling down, trying to win back what's gone, even when it pushes them deeper into loss? Why does the brain refuse to accept defeat? Chapter 5. The Chase. Why losses make you bet more. If you ask most gamblers why they keep playing after a big loss, they'll often say the same thing. "I just want to win my money back." It sounds logical at first. If you've lost $100, $500, or even $10,000, your brain tells you the solution is simple. Keep playing until you're back to even. This is known as chasing losses. It's one of the most destructive traps in gambling, and it's the reason so many people spiral deeper and deeper into debt, shame, and despair. But here's what most gamblers don't realize. The chase isn't driven by reason. It's driven by powerful psychological forces that casinos and apps know how to exploit. When you lose, your brain goes into what scientists call a reward deficit state. In simple terms, you feel pain, emotional pain, financial pain, sometimes even physical stress, and your brain instantly craves relief. It doesn't want to sit with the loss. It wants to erase it. Gambling offers what looks like the fastest escape. Just one more bet, just one more spin, just one more game. This is where the trap snaps shut. Because when you're chasing losses, you're not making decisions anymore. You're reacting. Your logical brain, the part that thinks about bills, responsibilities, or consequences, goes offline. The emotional brain takes over, fueled by fear, frustration, and desperation. And in that state, every bet feels like the solution, when in reality, it's only making the problem worse. Casinos know this. Betting apps know this. That's why they make it so easy to keep going. Instant deposits, fast reloads, one-click betting, no friction, no pause, no chance for reflection. They want you in a state of urgency, not clarity. And here's the cruelest twist. Chasing losses almost never ends with getting even. Even if you do win back some money, the emotional damage has already been done. You've trained your brain to believe that the only way out of pain is through more gambling. That's like fighting fire with gasoline. This cycle, lose, lose more, chase harder, is one of the fastest ways addiction takes root. And it doesn't just empty wallets. It destroys self-worth. Each time you chase, you tell yourself a subtle but devastating lie. I can't walk away. I can't stop. I have to fix this. But here's the truth you need to hear. Walking away is not weakness. It's the only way to break the chase. Every bet you place in desperation tightens the chains. Every bet you resist breaks them. Now, let me leave you with a question. If chasing losses is such a destructive force, what makes gamblers keep coming back even after countless losses, shame, and regret? What hidden force is so powerful that it keeps hope alive, even when reality is screaming the opposite? That's what we'll uncover in the next chapter, The Dangerous Seduction of False Hope. Chapter 6, False Hope. How gambling sells you dreams that never come true. Every gambler knows the feeling. That flicker of excitement, that spark of what if, the hope that this spin, this ticket, this bet will finally be the one. It's intoxicating. And it's the reason gambling has such a powerful grip on the human mind. But here's the truth. Hope is the most dangerous weapon in gambling's arsenal. Casinos and betting apps don't just sell you games. They sell you dreams. They whisper promises of freedom, of wealth, of wiping away years of struggle with one lucky break. They make you believe that your life can change in a second. And sometimes it looks real. You see winners on billboards. You see jackpots flashing across the screen. You hear stories of someone who made it big. But what you don't see are the millions of silent losses, the broken families, the debt, the people drowning in shame because they chased that hope until it swallowed them whole. Psychologists call this phenomenon the optimism bias. It means our brains are wired to believe that good things are more likely to happen to us than to other people. In gambling, this bias becomes a trap. You see thousands of people lose, yet you believe you'll be the exception. You tell yourself, it won't happen to me. I'll be the lucky one. And then there's the availability bias. When you're bombarded with images of winners, smiling faces holding giant checks, streams of confetti falling in casinos, or flashy online ads screaming jackpot, your brain starts to overestimate how common winning really is. But those ads never show the losers. They never show the millions of bets that vanish into nothing. The cruel part is this. Hope itself isn't bad. Hope is what drives people to start businesses, to chase dreams, to overcome struggles. But gambling hijacks hope. It takes one of the most beautiful forces in the human spirit and twists it into a weapon against you. Every spin feels like a chance. Every loss feels like you're closer. Every near miss convinces you you're on the edge of winning. But the truth is, nothing changes. The odds stay the same. The house still wins. And the big win you dream about, for most, it never comes. And for the few it does, it often destroys them anyway. Because when you win big, that hope explodes into overconfidence. And instead of stopping, you keep going until the money vanishes again. So what do you do with this? You start by reclaiming your hope. You stop giving it to slot machines, betting apps, and roulette wheels. You redirect it towards something real, building a career, strengthening your relationships, improving your health, creating a future you can actually control. Because here's the greatest secret of all. True hope isn't found in chance. It's found in choice. The choice to walk away, the choice to build, the choice to live free. But there's still another trap waiting in the shadows. Even when people realize that gambling sells false hope, many stay hooked. Why? Because gambling doesn't just play with your money or your dreams. It rewires something much deeper. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If gambling steals your money, manipulates your hope, and fills you with losses, why do so many people still feel unable to quit? What's happening inside the brain that makes walking away so hard? That's what we'll uncover in the next chapter. The brain hijack, how gambling addiction works like a drug. Chapter 7, The Brain Hijack, how gambling addiction works like a drug. When people hear the word addiction, they often think of substances, alcohol, nicotine, or drugs. But what many don't realize is that gambling activates the brain in much the same way. It hijacks the same pathways, floods the same chemicals, and locks you into the same cycle of craving and withdrawal. At the center of it all is one powerful molecule, dopamine. Dopamine is often called the brain's pleasure chemical, but that's only part of the story. Dopamine isn't just about feeling good. It's about anticipation. It's about craving. It's the chemical that makes you want and keeps you coming back for more. And here's the cruel part. Gambling triggers more dopamine than most natural rewards. More than food. More than exercise. Even more than some drugs. Every spin, every roll, every almost win hits your brain like a burst of fireworks. But unlike drugs, gambling has a unique twist. Most drugs release dopamine when you actually consume them. But gambling releases dopamine not only when you win, but also when you almost win. Psychologists call this the near-miss effect. 2 cherries on a slot reel, and the third stops just above the line. Your brain lights up almost as if you'd won, and that almost tricks you into thinking you're close. So you keep chasing. This is where the cycle begins. The highs of the dopamine rush are followed by crushing lows. You lose money, you feel guilt, you feel shame. And how does the brain escape those feelings? By chasing the next rush. The very thing that's destroying you becomes the thing you crave to feel alive again. And over time, the brain changes. Neuroimaging studies show that in gambling addiction, the brain's reward system actually becomes less responsive to everyday pleasures. Things like food, music, relationships. Suddenly, the only thing that feels exciting is gambling. The world starts to look dull, flat, lifeless without it. And that's why so many gamblers feel trapped, like nothing else can replace the rush. But the truth is, that rush isn't happiness. It's not fulfillment. It's just a chemical spike, a trick of the brain. Real happiness doesn't come in sharp bursts that leave you empty after. Real happiness is steady. It comes from meaning, from growth, from love, from freedom. So, when you gamble, you're not just losing money. You're losing your brain's balance. You're handing over control of your emotions to a machine designed to manipulate them. And unless you step away, the cycle only gets tighter. The rush gets weaker. The losses get bigger. And the emptiness grows. But here's the most important part. The brain is also capable of healing. Just as it rewired itself into addiction, it can rewire itself into recovery. With time, with distance, with effort, your brain can relearn how to enjoy the simple things. It can relearn peace. It can relearn freedom. The hijack doesn't have to be permanent. But first, you have to face it for what it is. Not a harmless game, not just fun, but an addiction that works like a drug. And that leads us to one final truth we need to uncover. If gambling hijacks your brain and steals your joy, then the real question becomes, how do you take your life back? How do you break free from the cycle once and for all and build a future where gambling no longer controls you? That's the journey we'll take in the final chapter, Breaking Free, Reclaiming Control and Rebuilding Your Life. Chapter 8, Breaking Free, Reclaiming Control and Rebuilding Your Life. There comes a moment in every gambler's journey where the truth can no longer be ignored. The wins, the losses, the excuses, they all blur together. And deep inside, there's a voice that whispers, this isn't freedom. This is a prison. But here's the most important truth you'll ever hear about gambling. You are not powerless. Yes, Gambling hijacks your brain. Yes, it plays tricks on your emotions. Yes, it feels like it owns you. But beyond all that, there is something stronger, your choice. The same brain that was rewired into addiction can also be rewired into recovery. The same mind that once believed in illusions can now awaken to truth. And the same person who once felt trapped can step into freedom. Breaking free begins with one simple act: honesty. Being brutally honest with yourself. Admitting that gambling is not your friend, not your escape, not your solution, but your enemy. Admitting that it has taken more from you than it has ever given. And admitting that if you stay on the same path, it will only take more. Once you see gambling for what it is, you begin to loosen its grip because the illusion dies in the light of truth. But recovery isn't just about walking away from gambling. It's about walking towards something greater. You can't just remove the game. You have to replace it with life. And that means building new habits, new passions, and new goals that give you the joy, excitement, and fulfillment gambling only pretended to offer. Start small. Reconnect with the things you once loved before gambling took over. Maybe it's exercise, art, reading, music, family time, or travel. These are not just hobbies. They're anchors. They remind your brain that joy exists outside of flashing lights and spinning reels. Surround yourself with support. Whether it's a trusted friend, a recovery group, or professional counseling, don't try to fight this battle alone. Addiction grows in isolation, but it weakens in connection. Every time you share your struggle, every time you hear someone else's story, you're reminded that you are not broken. You are human, and humans heal together. And most importantly, rebuild your vision of the future. Ask yourself, what kind of life do I want beyond gambling? Maybe it's financial freedom. Maybe it's peace of mind. Maybe it's simply waking up each day without shame. Whatever it is, hold that vision close. Because the more clearly you see it, the stronger your motivation to keep moving forward. Remember this: gambling doesn't define you. Your past choices don't define you. What defines you is what you choose today. And today, you can choose freedom. Today, you can choose to break the cycle. Today, you can begin to build a life worth living. A life where you don't need to gamble to feel alive. Yes, the journey will be difficult. There will be urges. There will be moments of weakness. But those moments do not erase your strength. Every time you resist, every time you walk away, every time you say, "Not today," you grow stronger. Recovery is not about perfection. It's about persistence. And persistence always wins. So take a deep breath. Look at where you are. Look at where you want to go. And take that first step forward. Because the life you've been chasing through gambling has been waiting for you outside of it all along. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of a new one. A story of freedom, of healing, of strength. A story where you are no longer trapped by illusions, but guided by truth. And now, as we close this book, carry this with you. The real jackpot isn't found in a casino. It's found in reclaiming your time, your energy, your peace, your future. That is the win that no machine can ever take from you. Practical suggestions for moving forward. Replace gambling urges with a positive routine. Go for a walk. Write your thoughts, call a friend. Track your progress daily. Even one day free from gambling is a victory worth celebrating. Avoid triggers. Stay away from betting apps, casinos, and environments that pull you back in. Join a support group or community. Recovery grows stronger when shared. Most of all, forgive yourself. Every mistake in the past was a step toward this moment of awareness. This is your chance to build a life free from chains. Don't waste it. Choose freedom. Choose yourself. You've just finished listening to how casinos and apps rewire your brain to keep you hooked. Now you know the truth. Every sound, every light, every spin, every notification is designed to keep you playing. But here's the good news. Once you see the tricks, they lose their power. You are stronger than the illusion. You don't need to gamble to feel alive. Your freedom is worth far more than any bet.